Just running a fly cutter over our pommel, just reducing the thickness a little bit. The fly cutter leaves a nice finish. I've been working on the pommel. I went ahead and cut the piece for the handle, and let me turn my display so I can see what you're seeing. I went ahead and drilled through, and the core of this elk antler is pretty spongy. So I wanted to get most of that out of the way because it is it's rather weak when you compare it to the outer bone shell of this antler. So I went ahead and made some room, and then this is the pommel that I made, and it was just a piece of 1/4-inch brass, and we surfaced it off with the fly cutter over on the mill. Pommel, what I did is I took this is 3/8 brass round stock, and I took and plunged down with a 3/8 end mill and just made a little socket, and then I inserted this, and then I soldered that in using a stronger solder than what I used to seal the steel to the guard. This is some pretty strong solder, but I got that soldered in there, and then I went ahead and filed in some lugs going in both directions, and that the epoxy is going to flow around those, and it's not going to let it twist, and it's not going to let it pull out. It's kind of like the same thing we do when we pillar bed a rifle, if you know what that is. They don't pull out either. It's just a good solid peg to hold that pommel on, and then I put some points around here for the epoxy to fill. It just is a little added something. I don't even think it needs them. I believe that's going to go in real strong with that PC7 and hold that in that antler. So yeah, I want to get this much of the handle assembled and get this dressed down, kind of like a recoil pad is what we're doing here. It's not too much different, and then I'll get that all dressed down flush, and I don't want to take out too much of my texture, but right here where it meets the brass, there's just going to be a little buff line, and this is going to kind of taper in from that point. Just a nice little bevel I want to put on that all the way around. But I want to get this much done because it's going to take the epoxy quite a while to dry, 24 hours before I can do anything else with it. So I want to get that much set in there tonight, so when I come back in from work, I can go ahead and continue. So that's where we're up to now, and you notice I did some rough shaping on the guards and just got a lot of the extra brass out of the way, so there won't be a whole lot to do after we solder. I haven't tapered them in yet, but I'm going to before I do final assembly. I went ahead and done it to both knives. So that's where we are right now. I'm feeling better. I sure appreciate you guys' well wishes. It means a lot. Just to have that shared with me, and I do feel better. So I thought I would come back out here and do a little bit more and just get these things a little closer to completion. So we will come back when we're going to show you another step. Alright, gotten the end, filled to the depth of this plug, and then I've made sure all my lugs are filled, and the surface down there is filled, and there really is no top or no bottom to this thing yet. All I want to do is get it centered on, but yeah, this you want to use too much epoxy. So the rest is just going to push up into the void, and of course there is going to be some squeeze out, which we will take off with some lacquer thinner. But yeah, you want to make sure you get full adhesion, and then 24 hours from now we can start working that. But yeah, it's all about getting this stuff where it needs to be instead of over there in the cans. I'm getting ready to start grinding here in just a little while, and I'm going to lay out my cutting edge. I've already laid out the taper for the tang, and all I did was I came in 47 thousandths from each edge of the knife and struck a line, and that's going to leave about 3/32 of material in between the scribes, and that's going to reduce the thickness down to about half from when we start up in 3/16 up here. And put some layout blue on there, and I went ahead and put the guard back on there and scribed the line on each side, just showing me where to stop my taper. And to lay out the cutting edge, I went ahead and set my height gauge 65 thousandths in for the 3/16. That's about where I want my cutting edge to start, so we're just going to do a scribe on each side of this. And I don't know if you'll be able to see. I'll try to get close. This camera doesn't focus on zoom very well. I don't know if you can see those or not, but that's going to grind. That's going to guide my grind and keep my grind straight and my bevel straight. So that's quite a bit of material to remove there, but we do have some fresh 80s over there now for the 2x72, so it's going to make pretty short work of this stuff. And I told you we were going to drill one more hole, and we did. And what that hole is for this. This is a push stick. So when I grind my tapers, I like to take, and this is just a push stick I made, and that is just a piece of round rod. And I actually been scavenging these from fireplace screens that I've changed over the years, and they are all the same diameter. And I forget exactly what that measures, but a number 13 drill makes a perfect hole for that to go through and not wiggle around. So what that's for, that'll just fit in there nice and snugly. And then I hold the knife up here, and I use my line in the top of my platen, and I just begin pushing and slowly grinding my taper on the tang. And of course the rod itself is sacrificial, and there's about 4 inches of rod that extend down into this handle if I ever needed to pull any out. But really I don't grind off too much more than what you see. The shorter this rod will ever get is about 3/32. That's just about what I've got left out there. But what it helps me do is keep everything straight. I drilled a hole in center so I can keep my pressure centered, and that has a nice flat contact area on that ferrule, so I can just watch my progress. You have to work up to this sort of thing slowly. You don't want to go past your scribe line, because that's where your guard starts. But if you take your time, work it slowly, you can get a nice flat tapered tang, and that's going to add to the balance of the knife. And this also keeps the heat, because when you get this entire tang against that platen, it can get hot pretty quick. But if you keep this this push stick down against that, that'll absorb a lot of the heat, keep it off your fingers, and then of course when I start feeling it up here, I just reach over to my left, dunk it, and cool it off, and then continue. But yeah, we're going to grind the taper on the tang before we actually start grinding our bevels, just to get that part out of our way. So the next time you see us, we're going to be over there on the grinder, actually turning this thing into something that looks like a knife. I'm going to show you real quick. Alright, you just want to watch your line, and I'm staying even, and I'm just approaching it at a nice even margin. And what I do is I watch my spark discharge under the belt, or as it comes off the belt, and if I see a concentration on one side, then I'll just shift my pressure, and I just kind of want to keep my spark discharge even all the way across, and that kind of lets me know that I'm keeping my grind straight. But yeah, you just kind of want to work up slowly, about 2/3 of the way up the tang, and you just want to
you just want to see that layout blue disappear in the area of this scribe line just about the time that you reach your scribe line down here. We're almost done with half this knife. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the camera off, because when I do this, I kind of like to get right up here on it, and you wouldn't be able to see anything but my shoulder anyway. So we're going to go ahead and get finished, and I will show you the knife when we're finished up. All right, took and cleaned it up a little bit, and then I also went over to the drill press and re-hit my chamfers on all these holes, because when we tapered the tang, of course, we ground the original chamfer away and let a sharp corner, which I don't want when we go into heat treat. That may haunt me. So yeah, we've got a nice taper on that tang, and it's going to finish out nice and straight. I went ahead and slabbed out some of this elk antler. Haven't even chosen, which one's going to be the top and which one's going to be the bottom. Probably, like I said, these are far too big right now. I'm probably looking for something about like that, and I think that's going to make a decent looking handle. Of course, in this shape right here at this state, they look rough as a cob, but you got to be able to kind of see past the rough to the finish, so you don't doubt yourself, is one of the main things. But we're getting ready to grind the bevels now, and relatively short cutting edge. So it won't take that long. We'll put a fresh belt over there on the grinder. The first thing I'll do is I always grind a relief grind at about 45 degrees on each corner, and I want to get this corner out of the way, so then when I put a nice new belt on there, I don't take out most of the grains on the belt with that sharp corner. It's just a way to make a new belt last longer. So we'll do that, and then we'll go ahead and commence to grinding our bevels. And got our handle pieces very roughed out, but got the pommel somewhat shaped down. It's going to still lose a little bit of weight, and I want to have it a little more domed when it's all finished. But just kind of got it blocked out. And there will be some shaping to do up in here and here where it meets the brass guard, then down into here, just to kind of sleek things up a little bit. But I want to preserve as much of the texture in both of these slabs as I can. But yeah, we're just going to carry forward from here. I don't know which style is going to be my favorite, or even if I will have a favorite. Full tang or hidden tang. It's kind of the same. I'll tell you one thing about making knives is, man, you can get a collection built up in a hurry. I've got a drawer full of knives sitting over there, and the thing about it is I have toyed with the idea of possibly attending one of the gun and knife shows. We have a lot of them in this area once the weather warms up. But I don't know. My aim is not to really sell these things. I like making them. I'd make knives if there were no market for knives. I just enjoy creating them. I like something about the process of taking something like this, which is just a concept, and turning it into a 3D product that wouldn't be here unless you created it. So that's the joy from really anything that I make in this shop. Just taking it from that thought concept to a finished reality is the joy for me. So anyway, it's good to be on to the next step. It's getting towards supper time, so I'm going to eat first, and then I'll come back and probably in this clip here and go ahead and post it to YouTube, and we'll come back when we're grinding the bevels, and we'll take it from grinding the bevels and we'll get you all the way through heat treatment, which I intend to do this weekend. So in the next installment we'll be getting these things ground, ready for heat treatment, and then treated and then finished, getting ready to assemble the knives. Once you get past heat treatment, it's like getting into the home stretch. So we will be back. And we'll make a couple of nice leather sheaths for these. So yeah, I'm getting kind of eager to see what it's going to look like finished up. So we'll get what we've done so far posted to YouTube, and thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it.